Hey, beautiful souls. Jen here with Zen Jen Holistic, your Balance and Birch in-house virtual Reiki energy healer. For those of you who don't know what Reiki is, in a nutshell, it's an energy healing using non-touch universal light source energy. So the concept is pretty simple. We're all made of energy and source, and I, as a Reiki practitioner, can help be a conduit to help positive love and light energy help you heal and recenter. The areas I focus on are helping people overcome trauma, embrace and embody true self-love and self-worth, and balance chakras, aka our energy centers. And this all allows us to help promote healing and rebalancing. So I want to welcome you to today's episode of how trauma shapes our self-worth. Now, this is a sacred space, so we're able to explore healing, self-love, energy work, and all the ways that we can return home to ourselves. Again, I'm Jennifer, a Reiki energy healer and a self-love guide, and I am so grateful that you are here. Now, today we're going to be diving into a really important, underrated, and tender topic: how trauma can impact our ability to love ourselves and how it shapes our sense of worth. Now, so if you've ever felt like you're not enough, you're too much, or you struggled being kind to yourself, this episode is going to be for you. So, what is trauma really? Now, when we hear the word trauma, many people think of big life-altering events such as accidents, abuse, loss. And yes, those are all super traumatic events, and they're absolutely valid. But did you know that trauma isn't always what happened to us? It's often what happens inside of us as a result of what we experienced. So it's kind of like when you're watching a movie over and over and over again, you're reliving that moment over and over and over again every time that you think about it or you dwell on it. Now, trauma is an experience that an overwhelmed nervous system makes us feel unsafe, unseen, unloved, uncentered, ungrounded. But it can also be emotional neglect, which is not being comforted as a child or even as an adult in a relationship, growing up in a home where you had love that had to be earned, bullying or shaming during our most formative years, being told explicitly or subtly that we weren't good enough or we're never going to be good enough, a parent, a family member, or a guardian dying or walking out on us, losing a friend, a job, or a pet that we've had for many years. That's just to name a few. But here's the key: trauma doesn't always have to be loud and seem like it's valid to the outside world. Even quiet, repeated experiences of feeling dismissed, ignored, or invalidated can leave deep energetic wounds. Now, how does trauma affect self-love and self-worth? Let's talk about it. Did you know that trauma actually shows up in our adult lives if it's left unhealed? And specifically, how does it mess with our sense of self-worth? Well, when you're told repeatedly or shown repeatedly that you are only lovable if you're perfect, or if you're quiet, helpful, or even invisible, you start to believe that love is conditional, right? And that you are conditional. Now, here are some different ways that it could show up. This could show up as being an overgiver or a people pleaser. Yeah, that's a big one that I notice a lot that happens with a lot of people. And that's when you're trying to earn love or approval by feeling seen and valued. You could be a little bit more of a perfectionist, and you have to people believe that you have to perform in order to be worthy or act a certain way. Avoidance or self-isolation is not trusting others, or you feel like you're a burden. Self-criticism, this is another big one, so underrated. Having that inner voice that echoes past shame or guilt saying, I will never be good enough. Fear of rest or receiving. Yeah, you heard that, fear of rest. So that's feeling guilty when you're not doing giving, or helping. Now, it's kind of like when we're in that hustle mode and you're overworking because you want to try to prove your worth 24/7, that often leads to burnout. Now, trauma ends up creating these energetic blocks in the body, and those blocks affect how we relate to ourselves and to others. Now, as a Reiki healer, I often see those blocks in the heart chakra, right in the middle of that center, which is our lack of self-love. I see it also in the solar plexus, which is right in the middle of our stomach. It's that power center. It's a loss of personal power and confidence. Or I see it in the root chakra, which is the bottom half of our body, like the legs, and that's formed at the most earliest stages of our life. And that is a result of feeling unsafe in the body or even in your day-to-day life. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to give you a real life example of how trauma shaped my relationship with self and with others. When I was younger, my father passed away unexpectedly, and my mother couldn't take care of my brother and I, so we went to live with multiple people in different family members' homes, and some were abusive, but not all were, and some did show us love. So, growing up without a stable home and stable love, I can honestly say that I felt so depressed, so abandoned, and so hurt physically, mentally, and emotionally. I ended up chasing love. I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be heard, and I wanted to feel love. But that only made me feel more depressed when it wasn't reciprocated. And that ended up leading to toxic relationships and a warped sense of what I thought I deserved. Now, what happens when you chase something? It ends up running. It's like a game of cat and mouse. So when you're constantly chasing after something, you are like left with that chasing feeling and you're never going to be satisfied. So it came to a really pivotal moment in my life where I was not going to be able to survive like this. So I decided that I wanted to do some deep healing and I started doing therapy and Reiki. And after spending about a year to a year and a half, I was going to group sessions and individual sessions. And you know what? I realized during that whole transformative healing experience that the love that I needed was not external. It was actually internal. And for the first time in my life, I was happy for more than a few days. And I was starting to find enjoyment in life. And I ended up actually starting to like myself, which is a big step for someone that has never really loved or valued themselves. And I was honestly really being happy just being by myself. And through that whole entire experience, that led me to finding my purpose and my mission in life. And simply put, it was able to help people like myself who've experienced trauma embrace the beauty and self-love. So that was just a little snapshot of what trauma can look like and how it can affect your adult life and how it can affect your self-worth. Now, self-love can be used as a healing path. Now, love and healing is always, always possible. And self-love is just not bubble baths and affirmations, although those are beautiful tools and I highly recommend them. But real self-love is courageous and it could be messy. It's about having a healthy relationship with yourself and understanding your needs, wants, and desires and honoring them. And most importantly, knowing that you are worthy of them. It also includes accepting your flaws and forgiving yourself for past mistakes, or as I like to call them, lessons. But it's also being confident in yourself and your decisions and choices, and setting strong, non negotiable boundaries that protect your mental, emotional, physical health, and well being. So it's kind of like saying, I don't have to earn my worth. I already know that I am enough. I see and honor myself, even if no one else ever did. And I choose to love and accept myself and the parts of me that are still wounded and healing. Now, we can heal trauma through consistent, unconditional love. safety, and presence, both within ourselves and, when possible, in safe relationships or through healing modalities like therapy, Reiki, or inner child work. So I'm going to offer you a gentle invitation. If you recognize yourself in anything that I've shared today, I just want to remind you that you are not broken. You are healing. And every layer of pain that you peel back is bringing you closer to your truth. Now, disclaimer, it may not always be easy. And sometimes I say it's like going on a roller coaster. It's, the excitement, it's the thrill, and then it's the nervousness. It's all of the messy and fun and scary moments of life and self-healing. And like I said, it could be messy at times. And some days are going to look great, like radiance and beautiful sunshines and rainbows. And other days, you're just going to feel like you are barely getting by and surviving. But keep in mind, it all counts. And all of it, all those emotions, all those feelings, all those thoughts are valid. Now, self-love isn't about fixing yourself. It's about meeting yourself where you are right now with compassion. Awareness is the first energetic shift in embracing who you are. Now, ways that you can start to tap into that is by journaling, meditation, or mindfulness. And what I invite you to do is to simply notice, how do you speak to yourself? Or how do you feel in your body? Now, keep in mind, is it a way that you would speak to a child, a family member, a friend, or a loved one? That's the way that you should be speaking to yourself. Bringing this into your awareness can be the first switch, is noticing how you speak to yourself. Is it positive, negative, or is it neutral? Now, I invite you to rewrite a few harsh inner thoughts and critics into a loving affirmation. So instead of saying something like, I can't do this, or I'm not going to do that, I'm not good enough to do this, I'm doing the best I can in this moment. And you can use that as your daily affirmation. Some days you're going to feel like you're on top of the world, and then some days you're going to feel like you're just surviving. But I'm always doing the best I can in this moment has become a daily mantra, especially when I was going through my healing journey, to know that, hey, I'm doing the best I can. And every day is going to look different. Someday, like tomorrow, I may be, elevating at a high frequency. But today, I'm just, I'm doing the best that I can in this moment. Or you can say something like, I am learning and growing, and that is enough. Or a really important one, I am allowed to take up space. So you're allowed to feel safe in your body. You're allowed to feel safe in your home. You're allowed to feel safe in your day-to-day. Now, I want to wrap this up shortly, but I do want to take a moment together where we place a hand on our heart. You can place both hands if that feels comfortable. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to say to yourself, I am worthy of love. I am safe to be me, and I am whole. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. If this episode has touched you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need a reminder that they are enough. Feel free to even leave a comment down below. And until next time, take a deep breath, be gentle with your heart, and remember, your energy is sacred. It is the most expensive thing about us. With love, Jen with Zen Holistic.